Joining us now with reaction is Megan McCaleb. She's one of 65 women who knew Kavanaugh in high school who wrote a letter supporting him. Helgi Walker worked with Brett Kavanaugh in the White House counsel's office, and Porter Wilkinson is a former clerk for Judge Kavanaugh. Helgi, let's start with you. Of the entire panel, probably you've known Brett Kavanaugh the longest, and I'm livid about what they're doing to him. I can imagine you are as well. Your reaction?
Laura, you and I have been friends with Judge Kavanaugh. We used to call him Brett for 25 years. I've also worked with him in the White House counsel's office side by side every day. He treated me like a serious lawyer, like his equal, like his teammate in every fashion. He took me seriously. He debated issues with me. This is a man who treats women with the utmost respect, courtesy. He's a complete gentleman. He's a kind and a gentle and a decent person. And it makes me upset, too, Laura, that somebody who is willing to be on the Supreme Court, who we are fortunate to have a person of those qualifications be willing to serve, to be smeared like this at the very last minute with such an obvious attempt to try to stop him or at least tarnish him in some way, because some people just can't accept the fact that he is so well qualified
and
that he is going to be on the Supreme Court.
Megan, I want to go to you because there has been some whispering around Washington about this letter, the 65 classmates who signed this letter in support of Judge Kavanaugh, and it was said that this letter had been written long ago. Is that the case? Because I know you signed it. I just want to clear that up once and for all.
No, that is absolutely not the case. We got wind of this yesterday. My husband received a call from a reporter with those allegations, and we couldn't believe it. Absolutely couldn't believe it. I've known Brett since I was a freshman in high school, and we knew we had to rally around him.
I mean, so you've known him since high school. You've known him longer than even we have, and is anything in his character indicate behavior such as that is alleged today, again, by an anonymous person in a letter that Feinstein sat on since July? Anything in his background or character?
Absolutely nothing. He always treated us with girls with respect, always. And it was simple to find 65 women to sign that letter from 5 different high schools. Everybody jumped on board and was happy to sign it on his behalf, and they all saw it and agreed with it.
I have to say, I think this is a big embarrassment for the Me Too movement. There are legitimate claims that have been raised and voiced, and people put their names behind those claims and accusations, even if they're long ago. This is someone who refuses to give her name for whatever reason, and it ends up in the hands of Dianne Feinstein and never released. Porter, I have to ask you about this. What about those circumstances? Dianne Feinstein doing this in this way?
Well, I'm not a political commentator, and so I don't have a lot to say about the way that Dianne Feinstein has handled this, besides for the fact that I believe that she takes the concerns of women seriously. And if she thought that there was a serious, credible allegation here, that she would have come forth sooner and said something during the FBI background check or the hearing.
Tell us about Judge Kavanaugh, the boss.
I was a law clerk to Judge Kavanaugh in 2007 and 2008, and I worked closely with him day in and day out, helping him prepare for cases and decide cases. And he is unfailingly kind and respectful, and a man of the highest character, unassailable integrity. And these allegations are flatly inconsistent with the man that I've known well for over a decade. You know what's amazing, ladies, is that there was a tweet from Obama's top guy, Brian Fallon, the campaign, or was it Hillary's campaign, excuse me. And he tweeted this out today in response to this Emily Singer tweet. Emily Singer tweeted, makes the whole bring in the daughters basketball team and talk about how great a coach he was look even more transparent. And then Fallon tweets back, and his emphasis on hiring women clerks. I'd like you to respond to that. So in other words, he hired female clerks for 12 years in anticipation of being nominated to the Supreme Court. Porter. Yeah. Laura, I'm not alone in my assessment of Judge Kavanaugh. I think you know that women from every phase of his life have written letters to the Senate Judiciary Committee supporting his nomination. Every single one of his female clerks who wasn't prohibited from signing a letter based on their current employment vouched for his character, his integrity, the fact that it is because of him that they are succeeding in their careers.
There's a moment in an interview I did with Justice Thomas last November, is when we just started the Ingraham Angle, about whether this whole process and what he went through, again, an 11th hour hit, a leaked FBI memo that was already investigated by the FBI and dismissed accusations by Anita Hill. And this is what he said. Let's watch. 28 years ago, you went through the worst confirmation spectacle in history. Was it worth it?
I think we are called to do certain things. I don't think anyone would choose to go through unpleasantness, but if it has to be that, to do what is right, then so be it.
Helgi.
Well, I clerked for Justice Thomas like you did, Laura. We're part of that special family, and it's just so disappointing that the confirmation process and the Senate Judiciary Committee has sunk so low. We could be having a conversation about the Constitution. We could be having a conversation about the 300 opinions that Judge Kavanaugh has written. We could be talking about the future of our country. Instead, we're talking about trash, smut, anonymous allegations, and even Justice Ginsburg yesterday, a liberal icon, a fighter for women's rights, respected by so many people across the aisle, said the confirmation process the way it is now is wrong. So if liberals don't believe Justice Ginsburg, then I don't know who they'll listen to.
Megan, have you been in touch with Judge Kavanaugh? How is he doing? How is his family doing throughout this process? It certainly was rough in that confirmation hearing, especially when they had the planned protests and you had, all the usual suspects disrupting the proceedings for so long.
You know, I saw them at the hearings, and they're doing as well as to be expected.
No. Well, there was one
Thanks
moment. There was one moment last night, and I want you guys to respond. Maybe Helgi. This is Lawrence O'Donnell raising this issue of this allegation. Let's watch.
The fact that the senator and Congresswoman Eshoo issued statements about it today and took this step, Senator Feinstein took the step to the FBI, is where we are now, and we do not know where we're going to be tomorrow.
No, this is, I mean, we overuse the word unprecedented, but for Supreme Court nominations, even with the Clarence Thomas background, this is absolutely unprecedented.
It really is.
This is just so pathetic. I'm sorry. Even Morning Joe this morning had to say, this is kind of, I mean, even they can't stand Trump at Morning Joe. Even they were saying, come on, guys, this is, you've made a mockery of the Senate confirmation process for the Supreme Court. Look, we have all these incredibly impressive women. Porter, who's not a political person, decided to come on and put her name out there tonight. Obviously, Megan, you did the same thing. Helgi, you have better things to do. But you're out here to stand against unfairness.
And I would like American women to know that all of the women on this set today are accomplished, impressive women, excluding myself, who have things to say, and we all think he's great. And would you take the word of people who've known him for 25 years, or would you listen to this ridiculous last-minute character assassination?
All of you, thank you so much for joining us tonight.